Okay, then we'll move next to Sorensen and Spetz versus Gates. Okay, and that's number 22-313. Okay, so you are Mr. Sorensen and Ms. Spetz?
Yes.
Okay, and you're the petitioners in this case, and Mr. Gates, or Ms. Gates, I'm sorry, Ms. Gates. You're the respondent in this case. Now, this is a petition for a anti-harassment order that was filed by Sorensen and Spetz on November 14th. The court set a hearing in this matter. I just want to kind of review a little bit of this procedurally because I noticed that there was another petition that was filed. Just get that up here on my record. There was a petition filed. There we go. By Mr. Sorensen and Ms. Spetz under a different case number 22-258. And that was denied. And it looks like the reason for that denial was a failure to appear at a hearing. Right. Does that sound familiar to either of you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
All right.
My girlfriend was having back surgery at the moment of that court. She'd had back surgery done, so that's why we weren't able to make it then.
Okay. All right. At that time, the court heard the petition for a temporary emergency order and did not grant that, but did set a hearing. So that's the hearing you're referring to. You weren't there because of that.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure. The reason I do this is because I want to make sure the court hasn't already heard this case. I mean, the rules are you only can get heard once, and if you haven't been heard, you haven't been heard, and that's what it looks like here. You didn't, you weren't here, and the court denied the petition without prejudice, and has not heard the merits of the case. So, all right. So I think it's okay to go ahead and hear the merits of the case at this point. All right, that's maybe more for me than it is for you, but I just want to make sure that the record's clear on that we're not just sort of going back and reviewing something that's already been decided. We're not doing that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to swear you all in, and then Mr. Sorensen, Ms. Spetz, you'll go first, and then after I've heard from you, it'll be your turn, Ms. Gates. I'll hear from you, and then I'll make a decision as to whether or not to grant an order. I'll explain to you the reason for my decision. Now, during the time the other party is telling me their side of the case, I'm going to ask you don't interrupt them. Just let them tell their side of it, even if you don't agree with it, even if you don't think they're telling me the truth. And keep in mind that, you know, as you're doing this, you get your chance to tell me your side of it. And as you're listening to the other party, maybe you've already told me your side of it, or maybe you will in a minute. So no need to interrupt them. I can hear both sides of something and make a decision. And then just the other case may not have been a great example because procedurally it was a little bit different. In this case, the petitioners have the burden of proof to prove by preponderance of the evidence that they're entitled to an anti-harassment order. Okay, so that means you two have the burden of proof. Preponderance of the evidence, that means the greater weight of the evidence. That's the standard I'm going to apply. All right, let me have you each raise your right hands, please. And do each of you swear that she got it right the first time. Do each of you swear that the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right, and Mr. Sorensen, Ms. Spetz, you get to go first, and keep in mind that everything you filed in this case previously is part of the record, and I'm familiar with it.
Okay. My name is Justin Sorensen, and I filed this because it's constant. It's been going on for years. We have more evidence that was dropped off after the fact of the CD that we had presented to the courts. And it's constantly going on because I'm a registered sex offender, and she's already stated that she is going to do what she can to either get me back incarcerated or to tear me apart from my family, which is happening.
Okay. Tell me in your own words, you know, briefly and succinctly, it doesn't have to be in legal language, what it is you say that she has said or done that is harassing to you?
Well, out of the times, over the time of my brother and her being together, they have, she has came over, being nice, came over, sat down, had cigarettes with us and talked with us. And she had stated before that she had been in trouble for messing with a registered sex offender and has nothing better to do than sit on her phone and harass people. And there's other evidence that we have that was given to us, like I said, before the courts was done, of another incident that she's dealing with right now. So I'm asking that the courts put this in effect because, you know, she assaulted me in front of the cop.
Yeah, I saw that there was you had enclosed that as part of your petition. I saw that police report, and then it looks like I looked at the record too of the court where the charge was filed, and it looks like there was a disorderly conduct in Tenino Municipal Court. And you can correct me if I'm wrong about that, Ms. Gates, but it looks like there was a charge filed of assault, and that charge was amended to disorderly conduct, and then there was a conviction for disorderly conduct. Sound familiar? Okay, yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah, that's all part of the record of the court in Tenino.
It's actually for the same thing.
Yeah, that incident. Yeah, the police report that you referred to resulted in those charges and that disposition.
Now,
That's
did
what
they mention the part where in, I think it was July of 23 of this year, that I had reported a incident where she had been verbally assaulting me as I was getting out of my car, because we live right next door to each other.
I think you filed a handwritten statement to that effect. Let's see. I have a couple of handwritten statements in here, and I think one of them refers to that you're talking about. Maybe Tabitha wrote it, I think. Yeah. You did.
Yes, sir.
You indicated that you called the police about that. Yeah.
Well, no, that was just recent. This one is from July when she was in Shelton at my mom's house.
Okay. I'm not sure I know what that one is, unless you
Okay.
filed.
Cause I called
report.
the cops, Tenino PD, and they filed the report, they said, and then Aaron Hiller said that she wasn't gonna prosecute that. And I'm like, it's a court order.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't know about that. I mean,
Okay.
if something happened and the police took a report and sent it to the prosecutor, this court doesn't know about that.
Okay,
If you want me to know about that, you would file that report or just tell me about it.
okay. And, you know, I just asked that this be, the order be given so that, you know, cause my girlfriend's got PTSD also and is on disability. We've lived there since
7 years? No, 6 years.
almost 7 years.
Mhm.
Never had issues until she had moved in. And prior to that, you know, I helped my brother who's sitting with her get into the trailer park. And then they got together, and it's just been a snowball effect since.
Okay. How about you, Miss Spence? What do you want to tell me?
Okay, well, like he said, I have diagnosed PTSD and anxiety. They know this. From the get-go, when she first moved in there, I tried extending the olive branch. I went over and I sat with her and smoked cigarettes and drank some vodka because she likes her alcohol. And I didn't say anything. Everything was fine. We were hanging out. I cut her hair. Everything was fine. Then all of a sudden, they would start fighting. And then all of a sudden, I was getting calls saying that I was being a bitch and that I needed to come out and that she was going to kick my ass. I wasn't really too worried until I received the police reports, and where she has a case of ripping some chick's hair out of her head. I fear for my life. I may be a big girl, but I do fear for my life. I don't like to leave my trailer. And then when I do leave my trailer, I'm scared to come back because I'm scared of what she's going to do. I'm 51 years old, Your Honor. I don't play games. I'm a medical marijuana patient. There's nothing in my history that I'm hiding. When we've been told several times that we had to watch our back with her from people that she's known for many, many, many years back when their kids were little and stuff like that, that we had to watch our back with her, that she was very unstable. And this is when they first got together, that she was very unstable and she would do anything she had to hurt whoever she had her sights pointed on. And it scares me. Like I said, I am to the point where I don't like to go out.
I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. How are your residences situated with reference to each other?
Our trailer is the very first one by the mailboxes and theirs is right next to us.
So you're like next door neighbors. essentially.
Yeah, and their front door is right out our bedroom. So whenever they get on one, alcohol or drugs and fighting, we've got to listen to it through our window. He'll ask him to stop. He'll call his brother and ask him to stop. And they won't and won't and won't. We've got 911 disc that of the 911 calls we've had with them.
So, yeah.
My nerves are shot, Your Honor. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
I'm just asking that this be
Yeah.
placed so that I mean, she assaulted me in front of the cop.
They were both taken down at Taser point.
Yeah, no, I read the police report. I'm familiar with that.
It's just scary, really scary.
Okay. All right, I think I understand. I'm gonna listen to them, or, I'll listen to Miss Gates, and I don't know if the brother will testify or not. It's up to her, but then I'll make a decision for you. Okay. All right, so Miss Gates, it's your turn.
Where would you like to start?
Anywhere you know what they are alleging against you. They know what they're.
Okay,
Would
so
they-
I've been with Ron for 6 years in January.
Mhm.
That's when I started living there. So I've been there for almost 6 years now.
Okay.
I mean, we got along okay in the beginning. We were never buddy, but we got along okay. Justin would come over and hang out with us every once in a while, but Tabitha never showed up. There were times that, and several, I'm just gonna go right to this night. We had gone out to dinner with his daughter at the casino.
Mhm.
Came home, I was sitting out on my deck. I was talking to my sister. I'd had a couple of drinks at the casino, but it was hours before that. Talking to my sister on the phone when Tabitha started screaming, "Shut the F up, and we're gonna come out there and kick your." I got on my sister is going, "Who's that screaming at you? Why are they yelling at you?" I'm like, "It's just a neighbor, no big deal. They're inside." On the phone with my sister or with his daughter afterwards, was talking to his daughter when an officer showed up. He was actually walking the dog at this point. An officer showed up. I walked inside, got a cigarette, and walked back outside. He walked over there to talk to them. Another friend of mine called and said, "Why are the cops over there?" I said, "I don't know." A little while later, I walked back outside, sat down outside. He came back. He had talked to the officer. The officer was going to leave, was still sitting out there. I knew he was out there, was going to leave and just have everyone go to bed. So we were sitting out on the deck. And at this point, I'm on the phone with his daughter. And Tabitha starts screaming, "If the cops aren't going to do anything about it, then we should just go out there and take care of it ourselves." I've heard this so many times from her from behind closed doors and keyboards that I was upset. I finally got off my deck and I said, "Okay, I'm right outside." So the only way there could be a confrontation at this point, and he has pictures of our trailers, our doors don't open together. So I was at the bottom of my steps. They literally charged out their door around the corner and over to our space in front of our deck. That's when Justin's body touched the front of mine, and I did exactly this. "Back up, Justin." That's exactly what I did. That was it. The officer saw all this, and we ended up on the floor. Taser. It was dark outside, understandable.
Okay.
The officer thought I was moving aggressive towards him, but it was kind of the heat of the thing. We were screaming at each other. But the only touching that was done was his stomach on my body and my hand on his chest. That was it.
All right. Do you want your boyfriend to testify too?
Oh, he can, yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Oh, I also have a witness statement from the day that they had called the cops and said I was harassing them. The cops never showed up. They've done this at least 3 times. And my lawyer, the lawyer from the case that just got dismissed, there's already a no contact order in place. I am in full compliance. When I see them drive down the road, I look the opposite direction. I won't even look in their direction, but I can't go to my car without them looking out the window or Justin showing up outside to walk his dog conveniently each time I go outside. And I'm just like her. I don't go outside. I have anxiety. I have I don't know about PTSD, but I'm not outside either. And I make a point to look out my window to make sure they're not right outside before I'll go outside. And if they are, I'll wait. I won't go outside. And the other night I was called by an officer saying that I was out there harassing Justin and calling him a sex offender. Justin wasn't home. I saw him drive away, and all I did was call my cat. Sasha boy, come on, big guy. That doesn't sound anything like. I'm not trying to go to jail over name calling, so.
Well, there've been a whole lot of calls to the police. I mean, I see from the exhibits that Mr. Sorensen and Ms. Spets filed that
The
they've been
lawyer
called.
says they're wanting it to look like a paper trail kind of, so that I
Well-
end up getting this order.
Okay.
I mean,
We'll kind of let that lie for a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying, clearly there's been an awful lot of calling the police. The police apparently know exactly
The
who you
family's
folks
even
are.
upset with them. The parents don't want them over there because they pushed this so
Well,
far.
Let's kind of tamp that down. Let me
Okay.
hear from, what's your name?
My name's Ron, Your Honor.
Ron, and is it Sorensen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Sorensen,
I'm Ron Sorensen. I am Justin's older brother.
what do you want to tell me?
Well, first of all, clearly it is a lot of cop calling going on here. And to me, it's just a tit for tat thing, a lot of harassment. I've brought several police reports with me showing that Justin is assaulted. He's a snap case.
It's upset 'cause he
like
got arrested the last.
Numerous assault charges that I never pressed charges on him for because he is my brother. None of these police reports make any of us look any good as far as drinking wise or anything else. I've been 100% sober for the last 6 months as of today. I clearly recall exactly what happened the night of the incident of the police report. And as she stated, it was his belly touched her. She went like this. There was no throwing hands. There was no physical violence. It was nobody. There was a lot of yelling and a lot of screaming. And yes, we were both detained. I was released because Tracy told the officer that I was 100% sober and never did anything. I didn't touch anybody. I just screamed, back the fuck up. Pardon my language, sir. It's become ridiculous. We live 15 feet apart. There's no way for anybody to stay 100 feet apart from each other. It's her home. Neither one of us can afford to move. They can't afford to move. We can't afford to move. I was working 2 jobs trying to get to that point of being able to afford for us to move by the end of the year. I lost 1 job. I'm back down to 1 job. At this point, it's just ridiculous. If there's going to be a restraining order in place, cool. Nobody needs to talk to each other 15 feet apart. There's no way anybody can afford to move. They can't, and neither can we. I don't have a problem not talking to them, and neither does she. All the cop calling, though, really, I mean, without an actual emergency being in place, it's a waste of taxpayers' dollars.
Well, I understand. All right. So, I mean, you're right. The cop calling is not something that the court can do anything about.
Right.
Okay. People are entitled to, call the police. I can't tell people they can't call the police. The police can do that. I mean, and believe me, they will. But let me just, I understand what's going on. I understand the situation. And you folks are, it doesn't sound to me like you're people who have.
Did you want to see this statement?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You don't have a lot of choices, right? You can't just go buy a house somewhere, go pay rent someplace else, and everybody just move away. I mean, that doesn't seem like an option. Like you said, you're in a trailer park. You're 15 feet apart. You're next to each other. That's just your reality. And nobody is going to force you to move. That's not what this is about. It wouldn't be allowed for the court to order a thing like that, and I'm not going to do it. But now it's my turn. Okay. You got to understand, there are problems that, the court can't solve. The court can't solve some problems for you. Now, the court can do certain things. I mean, when there's illegal activity going on, when, there is a case, when there's a case of harassment, that's clear and been proved, we can order people to stay away from each other, not talk to each other, not reach out, contact each other. Okay. Now, it seems to me that one, I don't think that's been proved here, but if I were to put an anti-harassment order in place, that's not going to change anything, right? That's not going to make you good neighbors all of a sudden. Okay. What that would do is it would end up where if you just said hello to your brother, you go to jail. Okay. You get prosecuted. That's not going to help anything. Okay.
Right.
But you said yourself, Mr. Sorensen, that you didn't think you needed to have any contact with your brother. Now you can voluntarily do that. Okay, you don't have to talk to each other. You don't have to be part of each other's lives, except for the fact that you're neighbors and there's a certain amount of, just interaction between neighbors just by virtue of the fact you live right next door to each other.
Correct.
So you got to find a way to get along peacefully. You don't have to like each other. You don't have to respect each other. You can even, mumble under your breath what you really think of the other person. But I guess my point is harassment's not proved here. Now, a single incident of assault or a criminal charge is not in and of itself a harassment under the civil law of harassment. Okay. And I understand it was, it happened. There was a criminal charge. There was a conviction. Ms. Gates pled guilty to disorderly conduct. I understand that. And that in and of itself is not a pattern or, a course of conduct. The other things that you're telling me, maybe, but I don't find that they are. The name calling, she obviously doesn't think much of you and she lets you know about it. That's what I'm getting from this. That's my evaluation of what's going on here. You don't like it. It's causing you stress in your life. It's not helping you to get along with her or with your brother. I understand that. It's unpleasant to have neighbors where your interaction with your neighbors is negative. Okay. It causes you to be upset, understandably, but this isn't harassment. Okay. This doesn't provide the court with a legal basis or justification to issue an order that subjects people to criminal charges for violating it. So today I'm not going to grant that order. And I think that's consistent with what was heard when you brought this case to court initially, and the court didn't grant a temporary order either. Now I'm saying that, but I'm going to add this. This is a life or a situation in motion. All right. This is still happening. Now, if there's an escalation in behavior, if there are threats or any physical violence or threats or intimidation, that's different. Ms. Spetz and Mr. Sorensen could come back and bring that to the court's attention. And if that looks like a pattern or a course of conduct, that could very easily result in the issuance of an order. So you've got, like I said, you got to find a way to get along peaceably. And I want Mr. Sorensen and Mr. Spetz to understand that even though I'm not granting an order for you today, I'm not telling you the courthouse doors are closed and you're not allowed to come back. If the situation escalates, if there's changes in behavior or anything like that, then you can absolutely come back and ask the court for an order again.
She also has
sends me text messages calling me out when I don't answer, I don't reply. And I've got this one definitely, and then I've got another one that she tried messaging from another number.
Well, my suggestion would be, one, don't engage with her, and two, don't send her any messages that she doesn't want. Like I said, escalation is going to be looked at differently.
Your Honor.
Okay. Your Honor.
I have another question. I was wondering if she would have to move because she's not on the lease.
And answer that question for you.
Okay.
That's not, that's up to your landlord.
Okay.
Okay, so that will be the end of the hearing for today. And like I said, I know this is a dynamic situation and if it changes or gets worse, you are welcome to come back.
That's it, Your Honor. We're free to go.
That's it. Everybody's free to go.
Thank you. Good day.